Hey everyone. I, I wish I was here under better terms, but I, in the past couple of days, have watched a video that has hurt me in many ways. I don't know if everyone has had the opportunity to check out this video, but it's a video by Stuart Chaifetz involving his 10-year-old autistic son. Now, in the video, he describes the situation that happened in the Cherry Hill school system where his his beautiful, loving son was lashing out. And through the lashing out, the father didn't know what was going on. He never saw this actions being done before by his son and didn't know what was going on. Until one day he decided to put a wire on his son and have the whole class recorded. In the video, he explains the situation that happened with his son, with his teachers, and he also shares some of the very, very graphic and very belligerent audio of one teacher bullying a 10-year-old student. I can very this annoyed me so much. I can very much relate to this story because when I was 4, I was diagnosed with autism. Now, during that time, there was a lot of what ifs about autism, and there was a lot less known about bullying. And it was also always under my assumption that as years went on, as I got older, I wouldn't have to worry about the same things that I had to worry about when I was in school. Now, for this 10-year-old autistic boy who has to deal with some of the same things that I had to deal with. And you know what? That's awful. The progress, I know we know a lot more about autism now than we had before. Granted. But to know that these situations could still happen to individuals, especially special ed individuals, who might not be able to communicate their responses and might not be able to communicate when things are going wrong for them, is ridiculous. I I watched the entire 17-minute YouTube video. I think Stuart Chaifetz is someone who is going to make this a very viral debate within the school systems around the country. At the same time, I don't want to miss any points in regards to making sure that this doesn't happen again. Teachers, like the teacher who belligerently bullied this 10-year-old student, cannot be allowed to teach. Period. I don't care what happened before. I don't care. In many instances, I do care what happened to me. I'll tell you a story today. When I was in school, one of the most tragic school situations I remember having to deal with was when two students came up to me. I believe it was third, fourth grade, and started screaming in both my ears. Now, I had a more mild form of autism. When I was 4, I was diagnosed with pervasive developmental disorder not otherwise specified, which is a form of autism. It's more on the high-end form of autism. And for those who don't know what autism is very, very focused on a broad range of areas, from social interaction to communication delays to sensory integration problems. It really is a very broad thing. And most of my things early on were in regards to sound, feels, touches, and overall communication as a whole, and getting my voice across and being able to communicate with others. Now, I remember this situation so well when those two kids were screaming in my ears, and when there was a substitute special ed teacher within the room, and she wouldn't do anything, and she just stood there. And me reflecting on this now, just thinking that maybe she just didn't want to get involved with an altercation. Maybe she was just thinking it's okay for students to be students. It's okay for kids to be kids, and this was acceptable behavior. But it wasn't to me. It hurt me. I don't know if I'm necessarily would have been the same if this actually happened. Like, if it didn't happen, where would I be now? What would be happening in my life, you know? And I think that's very, very scary, because if you have teachers and you have aides and a special ed setting where some kids aren't able to communicate, then what's to say that a situation like what we just saw with Stuart's son won't happen again? If these kids can't communicate and there's no system put in place where they can focus on having something in place where I just don't know. I really just don't know, because he had to put a recorder in his kid's pocket for this to happen. Sometimes that's not acceptable in the schools. There are some schools that there isn't any legalized written stuff that says that that's supposed to happen, but in other places it's not allowed, and it leaves you with so much uncertainty. In the past 4 days since this video has been posted, I've gotten 29 calls from outraged parents, upset parents, on what they should do with their son or daughter. Whether or not they should be homeschooled, whether or not they should be in a special ed setting, whether or not they should be mainstreamed, just so the mainstream kids can basically understand that something's going wrong and communicate for the people who might not even be able to. I don't know what to do to tell these individuals who might have to go through the same stuff I went through, who have to go through the same thing that Stuart's son has to go through. What am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to just... I feel like I've been very, very complacent for so long, just saying that the school systems are broken, but how are they broken? What different factors of them make them broken? And I think this is a very, very clear example of what's going on today that we really need to focus on. Special ed settings where kids might not be able to communicate for themselves, there has to be certain protocols put in place where if a kid is being bullied by a teacher or another kid, then there are possibilities of helping him quicker than others. I know it's going to sound crazy. I don't know necessarily. You can't necessarily put recorders in every single classroom. You can't put video cameras or monitors in every single classroom, because how would you monitor something from a wide scale like that every single day? But I think it's really also on the aspect of making sure people are aware of what is going on right now and that this is not okay. It's about teaching our teachers this. It's about weeding out, like Stuart said, the teachers who do not deserve to be there, and really just trying to get to a point where kids don't have to worry about these things. I know it sounds like a bunch of dreams, and I don't know if we're going to be there, because honestly, when I was a kid, I thought that when I became a grown-up, when I became an adult, these situations wouldn't be happening. And you know what? They're happening more than ever. I always see this in the news. I feel like school districts have a very set agenda, and sometimes they get away with things that they're not allowed to. I know growing up, it was definitely interesting to see how special ed became what it was. In 1990, the American with Disability Act came together. And honestly, special ed classrooms were when I was growing up, when I was a little kid, when I needed the early intervention to survive, it's like, what was there? Autism wasn't really becoming well known until the later years of my life. Not 92 when I was diagnosed. Definitely not 92. I'm concerned. I'm concerned for the parents out there. I'm concerned for the kids out there. I'm concerned for the community out there. I don't know what to do to help in many instances. There is legislation that can be put into place. And let me remind you guys, I'm going to put all the links to Stuart's video at the bottom of this page, so you guys can watch the video and also get involved with the cause. But he did a petition which is focusing on a zero tolerance policy when it comes to teacher bullying. And that any teacher involved with any situation where there's a student involved and he's getting bullied by a teacher, either if the teacher's doing the bullying or there's another teacher who's not doing anything to stop it, then they are immediately fired. And I agree with that. No kid deserves to be bullied. especially because teachers are supposed to be mentors. Teachers are supposed to be the ones molding the the new lives, the new people within our society, the new the, and really just hoping for a better day. And where do we go from here? This is a big vital problem we have. Stuart has just done something incredible for our community. He's done something that is going to really set a lot of people on fire with rage on what's going on. I'm upset. I know the people who I've been talking to are upset. The main thing though right now is understanding. Understanding that in special ed classrooms specifically, there is a silence to some of these individuals. Not everyone with a lot of people with autism are nonverbal, and then for the people who are verbal, they still have a lot of difficulties in regards to interaction, especially at early ages. So what do we do? Do we put monitoring into place? Do we set an agenda for ourselves to have our parents put recorders in every single one of our pockets to make sure situations like this don't happen again? There are so many situations that I believe are falling through the cracks. And how is that going to help us? How is that going to help kids with autism live, and not only kids with autism, just kids in general live successful lives? People can be scarred at early ages based on the bullying that's put into place. Don't be fooled. Words do hurt people within our society. You could say it's just a word. You could say it's just one little thing to that. But in all reality, it's something even more. Because words stay there. Words definitely stay there. So I encourage you all who are watching, please be your own best self-advocate. Please advocate for your loved ones, regardless of disability or not. Watch Stuart's video, sign his petition, join his Facebook page. Do whatever you can to make a difference. I don't want to see the future with kids being bullied without any results. So it's hard being bullied. As a kid, I was bullied. I was so bullied. Bullied for being different. Bullied for not being the norm in many instances that kids wanted me to be. For having problems with speech, for having problems with sensory integration, for having problems with people touching me, for having problems with my handwriting. The list goes on and on. And the teachers, if anyone else, need to be those role models who are going to help us. And that's the bottom line. All right, guys. Thank you for watching. Please try and make a difference in your loved ones' lives. God bless.